Hello, everybody. Joseph here with you with my co-host,
Anea Bogue.
Rad Parenting officially starting. Before we start the show, got to thank our winner of Anea's book. I always talk about this book, 9 Ways We Are Screwing Up Our Girls and How We Can Stop.
That's
the longest title ever. I love this book, and I know I always talk about it on the show, and I don't talk about it on the show just because Anea wrote it, and it's pretty amazing knowing Anea and an author. But this book is great, and one of our listeners wrote a great review on the show. Thank you so much. Her name is Tamber, and we are sending you a copy of the book. You can actually, it's in my hand right now.
I keep telling him to stop bending back the cover, Tamber. So
Tamber, just so you know, too, Anea fully wrote like an autograph to you, and it's pretty cool, saying. Yeah, I don't want to read what it says because it's personal.
It'll be a surprise.
It won't be the surprise when you get it, but we're sending it to your house, so that's going on. Got to thank all of you guys for the Ben Lee sharing that with a lot of people. I'm just kind of recapping the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. Just so a lot of you guys know this, sometimes as much as you guys binge listen to our show, Anea, because of her schedule and my schedule, we binge tape the show. I do know that we're coming off of Dr. Suzanne coming in, 4th trimester, something I knew nothing about.
Yeah, that's
made
a good
so
one.
much sense.
I know it's good. It's something. I think it's a game changer. Honestly, it was for me, and I think for parents who are like about to have a baby, or definitely if you just had a baby, like this is it.
Yeah.
So
the 4th trimester was great, and you have another doctor coming in a couple weeks, I think. What was her
Dr.
name?
Patricia.
What's her whole scene?
Whew. She has a PhD in human sexuality. Definitely is super focused on like empowering women in terms of their whole sexual experience, but also it goes like runs the gamut, you know, in terms of men, but also in terms of how we can educate our children to be healthy, whole human sexual beings, which is a big part of being human. So I'm excited that she's coming in.
I'm going to throw this out there too, since we have her coming in to talk about human sexuality, our children, and our own sexuality. Hey, if you have any topics you want us to hit her up with.
Yeah, questions. Yeah.
Do it real soon. Hit us at radparenting@gmail.com. Once again, radparenting@gmail.com. Also want to let you guys know too, gotten a few emails about doing a show dedicated to consent, teaching our children early consent, what
Language
that means.
of consent, how to, act in a way that is consensual. And it really starts, a lot of people think that that's only language that's used once our children are like teenagers and adults and engaging in a sort of sexual relationship, but it begins way before that. It needs to begin way before that, so that by the time they're engaging in certainly in sexual relationships, but even beyond that, that they have a strong base.
I'm excited for that topic.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Because it's been a topic that you just described perfectly. Only taught maybe for teenagers, but it's something that you can be learning through your entire life. And like you said, not just consent for having sex. Let's just get down to the, when you hear that word consent, it's like, whoa, for sex. No, consent for being in people's space, consent for having relationships with people, even in your friends, just the whole thing. So I'm excited for that. Those are some of the topics that we'll be talking about in the next couple of weeks. What other business do I have for you guys? Keep the reviews coming. Love that. I know I hit you up about it all the time, but you know what? We keep charting on the kids and family podcast section of iTunes, which trips me out because I know that a lot of my close friends that know me through my entire life still can't believe I have anything to do with the parenting podcast. Seriously, I get that feeling when I see them because like I'll have a dinner with someone, or you're hanging out and they're like, "Do you do a parenting podcast?" And I go, "Yeah," and they're like, "Why?" Like, what are you helping? No, but the thing that I love about doing this is, like I always say, Anea's here for the expert advice in there and bringing in so many great people. I've met so many great people now from you. What do I have for you today? I'm going to throw something out there.
Okay, I'm ready.
I don't want to say just spitballing, but I don't know. I'm throwing a curveball. Okay, school has started.
Yes.
It's definitely a change of pace. We talked about that last week with our Summer Yummy episode, which was fun. I never used the word yummy so much in my life. I love that as a male. I've grown to use that word.
You've embraced that word.
I've embraced it. I love it.
Though.
I love the yummy, my inner yummy. I love it. With all that said, let's describe our households right now, because right now it's gone back to school. I've got a son in 6th grade, and I've got a daughter sophomore year of high school. 2 different schools. We've got the progressive for my son, and we've got the full-on
College prep.
Catholic, all girls, Stanford or bust, vibe.
Hardcore.
And it's so different. Today's show, for me, we've gotten this thrown in the topics before about school, about what plan for the parents that are just having kids or just had kids. They're already scared. Where's my preschool going to be?
Yes, it's crazy.
For the parents that have toddlers and going into that kindergarten, same thing. And then obviously for our parents out there that began the journey of high school. Mm-hmm. So there's all of these different, how do I want it to be for my son or daughter? How was it for me? Once again, we go to our own parenting toolbox, and you have your whole relationship with education. So today's show is really all about, I wanted to throw it out on the table, this whole balancing act that we have in our household, and I know you and I have talked about it, between academics, homework, reading, growing academically as an individual, so that you're prepared for the world that we all are living in, but also having still a family and still having time. And how do you balance even getting sleep in there? And how do you balance a family learning together, but at the same time, not, I feel like I see it all the time around me, placing this huge ball of stress on your kids with make sure you do this and your grades got to be that. And if you want this to happen, then you've got to do that and make sure that you sign up for that club and make sure you do that sport. And if you don't do that, they won't let you into this school. And your grade point average 4.0, 4.4. I think you told me your daughter had a 4.4.
My oldest daughter graduated from a college prep school with a 4.4 GPA.
Can I ask one question? How do you even do that?
You take AP classes, so that you're doing basically college level classes while you're still in high school, and those are worth more. So you actually go beyond a 4.0. And let's come back around to that, because I can give you the update on where she's at right now.
All right. So and for a guy that I think I got a 3.0 once, and my dad was like, what do you want? Do you want this house, bro? It's yours. It is so great. So with all of that said, today's show is really going to be all about the balance. And you said it before on a show, I'm going to use your term, sweet spot.
Yep.
Let's just start with kind of your background with academics, because I know you said something to me once that it was tough for you to kind of change your own position as a parent with raising your kids academically, because they were, your oldest was like, I don't know about college, and you were like, you don't know about college. And it's so funny. I'm from that school of just grind it out, and then you go to college. So let's start right there.
Sure.
Your adjustment, raising your daughter, boom.
Yeah. So, and I think I first want to say, because this will really set the tone, is I believe that as parents, that making decisions around our children's education is one of the most, weighted decisions that we talk through with our partner, we talk through with other parents. We want to get it right. I mean, I assume it's this way in other parts of the country, but certainly here in California, it's like the kid's just out of the womb, and you already hear parents like, got to get her on that list for the right preschool, because the preschool determines the next school, and the next school, the middle school, and the middle school, the high school, and the high school. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So, with so first of all, my own background. So I was a teacher for 10 years. I have a deep love and value for education and the role of education in our overall growth as human beings. I also, though, have to say that I was a person that thrived in an academic environment. It worked with my makeup, my wiring was such that I thrived in that environment.
Throwing it out right now, no thriving going on in this end. I was in an undertow in academics. I mean, I was, oh my gosh, I wanted to thrive, but there was just no thriving going on, and I just felt an abundance of stress on me all the time. Just like I am behind and everyone else is crushing it.
Yes.
Continue.
Okay. So, and I think that's, important in making that statement of this is one of the biggest decisions, or several decisions as part of the sort of academic educational piece of our children's, learning and development. is really looking at who that child is as an individual. And that was something that hit me square in the face, because my oldest daughter, although she, did really well academically, graduating with a 4.4 out of a college prep school, blah, 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 went off to her first year of college. And there were a few factors. I mean, she went up to Canada. She was far away from home. I think she was cool with that. What she was not cool with were two big things. One, she left sunny SoCal, thinking that she liked the rain because she barely ever saw it here, to going to UBC, University of British Columbia, one of the best schools in the world, but rains like many, many, many months a year. And she was just like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? So that was one. We thought she's going to get past that. But the bigger thing, and I think I've reframed this in my mind, because at first I thought, where did I go wrong? And I've reframed it, and I don't think just to make myself feel better, that we did a decent job in encouraging her to be a critical thinker and question her environment and know herself and all of those things. Because one of the big complaints that I had to go, wow, this is not the way I ever saw it, was she said, I don't think this has anything to do with really wanting me to get an education, Mom. Me going into classes with 200 other people or 100 other people or 50 other people and memorizing information and regurgitating it on tests and papers, what does that have to do with me really learning anything?
I got to stop you right there, because the only thing I can think of right there is you were at an intersection in your relationship with her, in an intersection as a parent, that you were on the other side of it. And that's the best thing about having you on the shows, because I love that you already have a 21-year-old.
Don't make her any older than she is.
I love that you have a 40-year-old. And it's no, but what I'm saying is, and for our listeners, I'm sure they're like, wow, okay, so these are some of the things I could expect. But as a parent, your daughter was up at this amazing university. You were there. She graduated, and then she says this to you.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you felt like right at that moment?
Yeah. I mean, my first thought was, just a big, oh my God, it was way worse than that. I'm using good language because we're on the podcast, but it was definitely, that my inclination as a parent is first to be like, okay, so what has my role been in this? Did I screw up somewhere? How could I have done better? But I've gotten better over the years. And this is what I always come back to. And it's like the last chapter of my book is dedicated to this, how important it is for us as parents to really look at our children and get to know who they are. And when we have multiple children, it's really interesting because, like you said, the reason, Joe, that you've got one child at a college prep school and another child at this progressive school is because they're radically different people.
Totally.
They've same genetic makeup, same household, and yet they're very different people. Their needs are different. Their learning styles are different. What makes them thrive is very different.
I also want to and keep going. I remind me though to come back and tell you how that all came about.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Because I think it'll be interesting to the listeners of like how much we listened to the kids.
Yeah.
Almost to a fault, everybody. Right. Just so you know.
And that's where we get to the sweet spot, right? Is that finding that place where, like any decision that we're making as parents with our children, we have to sort of walk that line of, okay, so I'm still steering the ship because that's my responsibility as the adult in this equation, but I'm allowing room with safe guidelines for this totally separate human being to discover and explore who he or she is in the world and what is actually going to speak to their hearts, to their minds, so on and so forth. And I think one of the things, to your point at the beginning, that is we're really screwing up on is that we have our children so inundated with between the school day, which usually has a big chunk of homework attached, plus all the extracurriculars. It's like, where is the room left for them to figure out who they are? Where's the room left? And this is why I love that, at least here in California, one of the big things that's been popping up is charter schools that are really dedicated to the social and emotional development of the children, as well as their academic development. And to me, that's the perfect balance when we can get it right. And it's not always easy. I mean, the minute you have a whole bunch of, unique human beings in one space, you're not going to get it right 100% of the time.
I think you're seeing a lot of charters pop up all over the place, all over the United States. And our listeners, could tell us, out there where they all are, because I feel that this question that you are bringing up and that you and I are talking about right now is definitely on a lot of parents' minds, and they're putting the initiatives together to get the charters going. I
Yes.
think that's the reason why we're seeing so many more of these schools popping up. The thing that I have to throw out there on the table is I came from a whole background academics. And I just thought,
right, your dad is a what?
Oh, my dad, yeah,
position?
no, my
Chancellor,
my dad's whole background, academics, started out as a college professor, PhD in linguistics, super smart man,
and has a son who says "dude" more than any other guy I know.
And it's the irony, ladies and gentlemen. I love my dad so much, and what's great is he's going to be on the show at some point because you and I were talking about how it would be great to have him on because he's so different than me. But I learned so much from him, and it also goes to show you that you can have a kid that is totally the opposite of you, and him and I are super tight. With all that said, even though school wasn't my thing, I came from a background of like, no, you go to the public school. Mm-hmm. No, you do a ton of homework. I was pulling all-nighters when I was in 6th grade with my bros. I remember, and studying, guys, not like partying. I know right now.
6th grade.
Yeah, no, but in 6th grade. And I remember at a certain point, I went to a private Catholic school and I was doing the studying all night. And then when I got into high school, public high school, I was pulling all-nighters then. You had to do the U.S. government midterm. And then when I got into junior college, the same thing. And for me, it was just always an insane struggle. And I only realized at the end that the way that I learned is very different and very similar to my son.
Yep.
So with that said, I wasn't in a situation growing up where that was applied to learning. Now what is so great is there's opportunities and different avenues for students to go down. Now let's take my son. He learns differently. He's at a very progressive school and it's worked out great because they're very in touch with what he's doing, right? And the way he's learned. Now the only way we figured that out was, I'll be honest, I had to put aside my own, this is the way it's going to be. You're going to this school.
Yep.
I don't know why I'm talking in this voice, but that's my dumb dad voice, I guess. You're going to do this and that's the way it is. Like I have that little
that
guy.
Persona, that little guy's in there somewhere.
That guy's in the toolbox. And then I had to learn early on that, wait a minute, I have to be way more in touch with what works for him, with what works for my daughter. Now, we just assumed with my daughter that she was going to be the progressive student. She went to the same school that my son's at now. And while she was there, I remember it was like 4th or 5th grade. And she said, Dad, I want to go to a Catholic all-girls school. She knew the school that she wanted to go in Los Angeles. And this is what I love about her. She even had the uniform. Like, Dad, I want to wear this uniform. And I said, honey, that school has tests and grades, And she goes, yeah, I know. And I go, honey, there's a lot of kids you're going to be taking tests. And she goes, I like knowing what kind of grades. I go, there's competition. She goes, I like competition.
Yep. She thrives on that.
And I go, wow. And on her own, she decided to go to this school. And then all of a sudden we found ourselves we were at both spectrums. We had one here, one there. And as parents, and I'm only speaking to the parents that could only imagine how hard it was for my wife and I to be with my daughter. You're dropping your son off at one school where everyone's like, no grades, high fives, homework. Yeah, if you want to, and and that works for him, to a school where it was like, softball practice into swim practice into homework. And I'm like, when does your kid sleep? And I remember meeting some parents that were like, they'll sleep later on. They'll sleep, they can sleep when they get out of college. And I was like, for me, it was like, why would you, how can you put your kid through that? But then I respect those parents because, they're like, that's what we feel we need for our children. Do you ever feel that you do not have enough time in the day to do what you're supposed to get done? You're going to work, you're maybe trying to hit the gym, but you forgot that, I got to pick so-and-so up from daycare. I got to get my dad over to his doctor's appointment. I wanted to pick up the house before I left. Wow, check it out. How am I going to get everything done? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Go to care.com. Care.com. Care.com is the world's largest digital marketplace for finding and managing family care. That is right. Family care needs can be unpredictable. You got sick kids. You need someone to stay home. Man, both parents are out there trying to make a living. Your kids get sick. Who's going to stay home? Who's going to miss out on that cash? Now you go to care.com and they'll have someone for you that can look after your kids. Don't stress your life away. Seriously, most working parents, worry about their kids every minute of the day. You're more at ease and more focused when you know your kids or your parents or even your pets are well cared for. Best part is this, care.com provides access to a variety of background check options you can purchase to help make sure that you're making the best hiring decision. That's my favorite part right there. They're letting you know there's a million different things for you to check out on the background check options so you know who's going to be there with your kids or with your parents or with your pet taking care of the situation. Care.com. Check it out now. If you go to care.com right now, you ready for this? To save 30% off care.com premium membership, visit care.com/rad parenting when you subscribe, and you're going to get 30% off. Like I said, the world's moving a million miles an hour. You just want to take care of your kids and all the responsibilities. Let care.com help. So after that big, long rant right there, my question to you, Anea, is how do we find the balance? You know, it's competitive in the world. I want my kids to go to college, but I also understand if they want to take a year off. And I know some parents are like, what are you talking about?
Okay, so
how do, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do
like,
know what you're saying. And I think it's really important. I think with all things, we need to find, all things in life, we need to find balance. And I think the ideal, and we're moving toward this. So here's the thing. First of all, the public school system was created during the Industrial Revolution. The primary objective was to create an obedient workforce. Period. The end. That is not where we are. We are not at the heart of the Industrial Revolution right now. And I think that we've moved far enough, and, you know, these things pop up based on need, you know, just our overall human evolution. But we're starting to recognize that the development of a whole healthy human being who can truly thrive and meet their full potential is about more than just, oh, this kid is like super academic smart and performing, you know, well. But then there's all of this other stuff that he or she can't do because there's so much focus and so much pressure on just doing well in that area. And then there's a whole bunch of kids that are like, that's not me. So I guess there's something wrong with me. I guess I'm a loser. I guess. And that's just not true, because even when you look at, you know, it's great you and your dad thinking about the two of you, both of you are highly successful in life in two very different ways. And had your dad insisted, or had you sort of like just been like, I guess I just have to do it that way, and found out you couldn't, and then we're like, oh, I'm a failure. That's not how it played out for you. Thank goodness. Because look at what you bring to the world now. Look at what a whole, you know, human being you are. And look at now at what a great role model you are for your son.
And I just want to say, look how great God, you were giving me so much. No, you were giving me so many props right there. I was like, wow.
But I
get what you're saying.
I really mean that. And I think that we have to, human beings are complex creatures. And so therefore, there is no simple solution, one size fits all way of doing academics, way of doing extracurriculars, way of child rearing.
Okay, what you just said right there, there isn't one size that fits all. But I know right now some of the parents that are listening, that is a hard concept to grasp, because your child comes out and they're at home for a little while, and then you're like, yeah, you go to school and school's not fun. Like, you know, I've heard my kids say, this isn't fun, and it's not supposed to be fun, or they're doing homework. It's not, you know, I can't believe I have homework. Yeah, you should, you know.
Yeah.
And there's this pile of just, like I said, a ball of stress being put on their shoulders. So I know for the parent listening right now, I was like, well, how do I navigate that? Isn't it not supposed to be?
Well, I think people are going to have different ideas about that. And I think that certainly we need to, the reality of life is there's going to be struggle. We're going to face adversity. And it's important that we do. I am by no means saying that, like, if your kid is struggling, make that go away, because there are a whole bunch of internal muscles, as I call them, you know, psychological, emotional, that develop, that you know, sort of pop up and start to grow because we face adversity.
I totally agree with you on that. I think what I needed to mold that question more into is that ability as parents, as we're raising our children, whether they're going to a public school, whether they're going to a private school, because that right there, there's plenty of opportunities in both. But I think that internal question in your mind of how your child learns.
That's right.
And maybe that's what I meant, is just being able to get over that hurdle of, I'm going to have to spend some time on figuring that out.
Right. Right, exactly.
And that's
I'm going
the
to have
tough
to
thing.
get to know my child. I'm going to have to get to know what makes him or her tick. What does he or she respond best to? And that doesn't mean respond best to means it has to be the ideal situation where there's not a thing that he or she doesn't like, blah, blah, blah. But I think for us to just be like, well, let's just keep doing it the way we're doing it, or force our kid to be in a situation where they just cannot thrive, is setting them up for failure, which can affect their self-esteem, their sense of like, I guess I don't have choice. I guess I don't have any ability. If I can't do this, this means I'm not good. We have to, I think, and I've said this over and over again over the course of our podcast, our job is to learn who our child is, give them space to explore who they are, do that exploration with them, and give them space to grow with safe guidelines. So it doesn't mean just going, oh, okay, if you don't want to do homework, you don't have to do homework. It might mean looking at what is this homework just because, or is this homework because you weren't paying attention and now you have to get it done? Is this something I need to talk to the teacher about? Like, and there was a really great meme. I want to share this before we run out of time, because this was floating around Facebook the other day, and I thought, oh my God, this is so common sense. I can't believe that we're not doing this.
I think you sent this to me. Is it the teacher one?
The teacher one.
Okay.
So this is, what's her name? Brandy Young. Godly elementary school teacher. Okay. Research has been unable to prove that homework improves student performance. Rather, I ask that you spend your evenings doing things that are proven to correlate with student success. Eat dinner as a family, read together, play outside, and get your child to bed early.
I love that.
Boom. Like, I just think if that, at the very least, regardless of what kind of school your child is going to, we should be able to say to our children about almost anything we ask them to do, here's why. And it could be as simple as, we need you to be a team player. This is part of you contributing to the family. If it's a chore that they're like, why do I have to do that? Or homework. Well, you know what? The school day is only 6 hours, and there are other things that you're going to get the opportunity to learn or practice if you spend 30 minutes a day doing homework. That being said, if your kid's coming home and having to spend another 2 hours doing homework, can you imagine us as adults? And some of us, this is the reality of our work, especially if you have your own business like me, but most of us, if we had to work an 8-hour day and come home, and instead of sitting with our family and reconnecting, having a good night's sleep, decompressing with a book or a television show or whatever, we had to do another 2 hours of work, we would short circuit. We would be incredibly unhappy people. And so I think we have to look at our children as human beings that we want to thrive in a variety of ways. And it's our job as parents to create that space for them. And find out what their unique learning styles are. And
I'm just going to add this, because this is the way I feel about life. At the end of the day, when you're 6 feet under, are your kids going to remember the meals and the time that you played in the front yard, or the time that you went for the walk to the park, or all, the family moments there, and they're going to remember that. They're going to be like, I remember that. Or are they going to go, no, I remember grinding it out in my bedroom alone for 3 hours.
To get that A+ on that math test.
Yeah. And now, once again, just throwing it out there as the idea of, I know a lot of parents, this is definitely a question that everyone is talking about consistently. I said to my wife the other day, and we're not as far down the road as you are with one of your kids, but we have a sophomore, and I said, wow, it's going to be so weird when we don't talk about school and education and what our thoughts are, and are we doing it right? Because I'm telling you right now, if you're a parent listening and you go, oh my gosh, I just don't know if I'm doing it right, I'm telling you right now, like I said, I got a 6th grader and I've got a 12th grader. And every day I ask myself, gosh, I hope I'm doing this right. Like, yes. I can't be so set in one way that I just take my eyes off the ball, so to say, for education for my kids. I'm always like, what could be better? Is this tutor working? How does he learn? She says she loves that school. Does she really? Right. That's just who I am. And I think a lot of parents feel that way, because it's like, we all know you get one shot at this and you really want to do it right. But I'm not going to lie. It'd be so much easier if I just was like, you go to school there. Good luck. Yeah. And oh my gosh, sometimes I know that sometimes parenting that way, I find myself sometimes, and I just call it lazy parenting, where I just go, yeah.
Well, anything we can make black and white, like this is just the way it's going to be.
I love that.
It's just not. It's not. You can't apply something that's black and white to a complex creature.
Is that my OCD right there? Where I just want it to be clean and tight and put away.
Yes, I think we all do.
Yeah, I heard somebody say once. What is it? That life is suffering. Who's that guy? Like, didn't Buddha say that?
Yes, and Ben Lee.
Ben Lee said that. Just so you know, everybody, joking, I knew that Buddha did say that. Because if life is suffering, and what can you do? And you're just this little teeny thing in the sea of life swirling around. Either hold on or go with the flow. Hey, want to thank everyone once again for taking the time to listen to our show. I hope we touched enough on these education questions that you guys have been sending to us. I know that in the future, we will be doing a show dedicated to you got a teenager, they're a junior, and they're getting ready to go to college.
Right.
We're having...
Coming up soon.
Yeah. Basically, we're going to do a show dedicated to that whole college process. And I think for fun, too, I'd love to get in a junior, a kid to come in here and go, hey, man, we talk about you all the time and you're a real teenager and you're not my kid and you're not Anea's. Like, what is it like out there? It'd almost be like talking to someone in the mob. Like, dude, what's like going undercover? Because I think it'd be important for all the parents to really feel what a teenager feels like on this journey that we're all setting up for them. But how are you actually feeling this journey? What do you think happens after college? What are kids saying to each other? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
It'll be rad parenting, going undercover.
Going to the source.
Yeah. Man, I had a lot of coffee today. Did I talk too fast? No. Are you sure?
I can't tell.
Okay.
I'm just used to it.
Was the rant in the middle okay?
It was good.
Okay.
I think it was good. And I think this is just a starting place for a really great conversation. And I would love to have like feedback on this through email, and we can, dive in further to certain threads that we've just touched on today, because I think it's a really potent topic that a lot of parents struggle with from the time their kids are really little, because we want to get it right.
Yeah. And all I wanted to do was give everyone a broad stroke of where we both are as parents, which I feel is pretty similar to everyone out there, and just kind of let you guys know where we came from, and then so that when we do have someone come in, whether it's to talk about college admissions and getting through that it will have all perspectives.
Well, and I think that for me, I'm in a really good place, because after that struggle and sort of facing my own stuff with my older daughter,
how'd that end up?
Oh my
Where
gosh.
is she now?
She's back in LA.
Okay.
She's in the scholars program at PCC, which is a local community college, so that she keeps. My big thing with her has been just keep doors open. Like, make choices that keep other choices available. And so she's in the scholars program. It will allow her to go to a UC if she wants to continue down that path, but she's an artist. And so she's also carved out time by creating a schedule that's not so academic heavy, that she's doing tons of painting, and we're in the process of getting a website set up so that she can just really dive into that part of her strength and who she is as a person. And it's really beautiful to see her what a person does when they have, again, safe guidelines and support with space to explore and figure out who they are.
When I met her at the Stand Up for Girls event that you did, she was amazing, and I was like, "Wow, there she!" Yeah. I felt like I was meeting like a rock star, because I've heard so much about her, and then there she was. I was like, "Whoa,
she's really extraordinary."
Check her out. Yeah. All right, any events coming up for you?
Yes,
September through October.
September 17th, we have our first ever Real Woman workshop for moms of girls. It's going to be amazing. Dr. Patricia, who we're going to have on the show, will be there, and we're just going to be talking about tons of stuff that are going to help.
September 17th, and where is that?
In Silver Lake. So if you're in the Los Angeles area, you can go to realgirlprograms.com to register. It's going to be an intimate event that's really dedicated to giving moms of girls understanding, language, and tools to just be a rock star mom and get through the adolescent years.
Hey, and if you want to see me do stand up and be the funny guy that I am, you can come and see me September 29th in wonderful Phoenix. I know we have listeners in Phoenix. Come to see me in Phoenix. I will be at the Film Bar September 29th, 8 p.m. It'll be an amazing show. Great lineup of comics. I am headlining, so you get a full dose of me.
Of Joseph.
100%. And you can check that out once again. Film Bar, September 29th in wonderful Phoenix. With that said, Anea and myself, Joseph, we are out of here. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back next week with a new show. With that said, you ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.